In the run-up to the controversial 2022 presidential elections, I am sure I bored you guys with a theme that I kept on repeating over and over again. I'm sure regulars of this channel can remember. The character of a man. That is so important. That is so terribly important. Because once you know the character of a man, it becomes super easy to predict their reaction, to predict the next move, to predict what they're going to do next, and of course to predict what will happen to them. In the end, it becomes very easy, and you don't need to be a prophet. On my show today, I am going to revisit that character manenos. But one thing I'm very sure of this time is your attention. Those of you who may not have been paying attention in the excitement of the 2022 presidential elections campaigns. Okay? And why am I doing this? Well, I'm sure we all know that there is too much happening currently on our local political scene. Just reading the news these days can make one dizzy. You get so confused, you even stop reading it. You stop taking it in. Because it seems to be taking you round and round and round in circles. Isn't that right? Well, when we establish the character of some people, or rather when we remind ourselves about the character, the true character of some people, then that dizziness is going to vanish magically. Everything is going to fall neatly into place. And there'll be no more confusion. We'll even be able to predict the end game here. And how dear old motherland Kenya is going to end up in the hands of some people. It'll be very easy to predict. And to predict with pinpoint accuracy. Trust me. Now, even this man we trust, Okiya Omtata, is telling us that the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua is a diversionary tactic. Yeah, we're being taken in one direction so that the Adani manenos can proceed. Yeah, at least up to a certain level where they're going to be unstoppable. That is assuming they're already not unstoppable. Okay? And so that is what our beloved Omtata is telling us. Okay? And that's fine. However, I have a small question to ask. Is this the only diversionary tactic? Or is this maybe the main diversionary tactic being used to take us away from Adani manenos? I ask because there are a lot of other crazy things happening. Senator Samson Cherargei is very serious about proposing an extension of the presidential term and also the term for legislators from the current 5 to 7 years. You know, as an analyst, you're not supposed to get angry. But that is one proposal that makes me extremely angry. Yeah, because in my view, in fact, the 5-year term is supposed to be reduced to 3 or 4 so that we limit the time these politicians have to steal our money, to steal public funds. Because in case you didn't know, this 5-year term, what that elected Kenyan usually does, he uses the first 2 years to make as much money as possible. The 3rd year in office is tying up everything, while pretending they're representing you. And then the last 2 years, they're in campaign mode. In case you have not noticed, that is the only time when at least they will try to do something. Okay, but usually it is already too late. The time is short. That is why I would propose a reduction of terms, not an increment. Anyway, there are other things which are happening. Kithure Kindiki, the Interior CS, is on a major narrative campaign. And it has to do with the Gen Z protests. And it seems it's being supported very ably by the DCI, who are telling us that they want to charge some legislators, allied to Gachagua, with serious crimes linked to the Gen Z protests. Very obviously, this is a very well choreographed move, with a very clear objective. Okay, what is that objective? I don't know, but something is happening there. Something else that is happening. President Ruto and his guys, including Raila Amolo Odinga, are on a major begging mission abroad. And we're being told that there is yet another loan almost being approved. Okay, let's move on. Also, currently, the new health scheme for the country is about to be launched. Okay, and there's so much controversy surrounding it. There is so much noise going on currently about it. And surprise, surprise, the rates were suddenly increased just the other day. And I can go on and on. There are very many major things happening in Kenya. So my question to the good senator, whom we love very much, because he's one of a kind, he's one of the very few politicians who appears to be different. My very simple question is, are these other things also diversionary tactics? Or is it only the Gachagua manenos? Because, if truth be told, there are too many Kenyans who don't care about Gachagua. And therefore, if the plan is to use this impeachment to divert the attention of Kenyans, it may not work. Because too many Kenyans may not care. Now, isn't that food for thought? Okay? Even as all this drama unfolds right before our eyes, many Kenyans have noticed that President Ruto has aged considerably. And very interesting, he appears to be losing hair. Now what is this? Is it pressure of the office? Or what is really going on here? Because there is definitely something going on here. Okay? You know, there's been talk that President Ruto is ill. He has some serious disease. And this talk has been going on for some time. Rumors have been flying all over the place. But up to this point in time, we have had nothing concrete. Okay, just hold your thoughts there. I will come back to that very shortly. Firstly, I would like to deal with something, if you can allow me, that has to do with these Gachagua manenos. Now, a Rigathi Gachagua ally, Kate Waiguru, came out with a statement that excited many Kenyans, especially Azimio supporters. She said that if indeed the Ruto people were going to go forward and impeach Gachagua, then what would happen is that the Gachagua camp would spill the beans, release information about the rigging of the 2022 presidential election. Okay, I'm sure most of us remember that. But what I want to draw your attention to, and what I found more than super fascinating, was what happened next. After that threat, believe it or not, the Gachagua camp started sounding apologetic. They backed down. In fact, there is a viral video that was done on TikTok of Kate Waiguru visiting Gachagua. And it was clear that the objective in this clip was for Gachagua to reassure the other side that that was a, shall I call it a slip of the tongue? What? In the viral clip, Gachagua kept on saying over and over again that he has got no fight with anybody. He is not against anybody. That they are peaceful people, etc., etc. Now, why would the Gachagua camp behave like that? shortly after this very, very explosive statement. Now, there can only be one explanation as to this very sudden reverse gear by the Gachagua camp over these comments to do with the 2022 presidential election. Okay? And it is outside factors, powerful outside factors, who are involved in the dodgy things that happened in those 2022 presidential elections. The worst presidential elections we've ever had in our history. The dirtiest, the most rigged, the most fiddled with elections we've ever had in our entire history. Okay? And so, Gachagua and company were told, you have crossed the line. Okay? That is the only logical explanation. Because as we speak, the Ruto camp is speeding ahead with arrangements for the impeachment of Gachagua. And they're releasing a lot of information. Yeah, it's as if they're bragging about it. It's as if they're making a big announcement about it as they prepare to proceed with the impeachment, which by itself is also strange. If you want to impeach somebody, just go ahead and do it. Why make all those announcements? Huh? Back to the aging President Manenos. Now, I need to tell you a story, a fable actually, for us to totally understand what is going on in Kenyan politics. Very confusing. A lot of it does not make sense. Yeah. But this story I'm about to tell you will not only neatly explain everything, but it will enable you to predict with a lot of accuracy from now henceforth what is going to happen next and how a matter will end. I am certain that most of us have heard of the story of the fox and the scorpion. Both the scorpion and the fox wanted to cross the river, and the scorpion begged the fox, please help me cross the river. You think I'm an idiot? I know that you're going to sting me. Yes, I will carry you, but you're going to sting me before you get to the other side. That one I know, I'm sure. But the scorpion was very persuasive. Please, Bwana Fox, just carry me. I promise you I will not sting you. Because after all, if I sting you, so you'll both drown. How can I do that? We all have that thing of self-preservation. And so the fox was finally convinced. And they carried the scorpion, and they started swimming across the river. And they passed the halfway mark, and they were about to reach the other end. And then suddenly, the scorpion stung the fox. Very poisonous sting. And as the poison took effect, and as both of them were drowning and dying, the fox looked at the scorpion and asked, why? Why did you do that? Now both of us are going to die. The scorpion, almost drowning, responded, I'm a scorpion. That is my nature. And of course, both of them died. Now the moral of that story is that people never change. The character of people never changes. And I'm sure most of you have noticed just how relevant that fable is to Kenyan politics at the moment. Because some people are doing things which are clearly going to harm them. Yeah, like the scorpion stinging the fox on whose back he's riding. Yeah, we can clearly see things like those happening. Well, remember the response of the scorpion as both of them were dying, the fox and the scorpion. It is my nature. I should add, it is my character. And now you'll understand why some people will never back down over their Adani manenos. It doesn't matter that it is stinking to the high heavens. It doesn't matter that everybody's talking about it. They will never back down. Okay? The scorpion, fox, fable. Okay? Always remember that. It also explains why peaceful demonstrations will never be allowed in Kenya. People have to be arrested. Yes? Which is contrary to what is in our constitution. the fox and the scorpion. That explains it very neatly. Which brings us back to the issue of the aging Ruto. Now, historically in the past, we have had presidents aging right before our eyes. For example, President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, after the fight for multi-party started, he aged considerably over a very short period of time. I remember going to a public function and seeing Moi live, and I was shocked. Because prior to that, I did not remember Moi having a kipara, being bald. But here he was. The man looked very old. Pressures of the office. And you see in Ruto's case it is even worse, because Ruto is a micromanager. There are so many decision makers in Kenya today who cannot make a decision until they consult with State House first. Okay? And therefore, you imagine the usual pressures of the presidency, the office of the president. And then add on top of that, ile kitu amejiongezea mwenyewe, micromanaging, trying to micromanage the country. Yeah? Keeping so many balls in the air at the same time. And then you will totally understand the loss of hair. And let us not even talk about the ailment, the alleged ailment. Okay, because obviously the president seems to be suffering from something. Let's not even talk about that. The pressure alone, yeah, that he has put on himself, in addition to the usual pressure that comes with the office of the president. I have to sympathize with this man. And so, armed with this information that I've given you today, you will be able to totally understand the very crazy information that I have in my latest special report about what the Ruto people have done and are doing. It is so crazy, it will leave you breathless. Okay? Especially to do this Adani manenos, but also to do with the way the country is governed by President Ruto. And you have a chance for a very short time to take advantage of this very special offer of mine. You can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 19.99, you'll be able to get these highly sensitive special reports. And not only this one, but also all the other sensitive reports, in case you've missed them, some of them, all of them. You'll be able to get all of them pop in your inbox. Now use the details you see in front of your screens, repeated in the description area below this video on YouTube, and also in the comments area. Please move fast to avoid disappointment, okay? Because this is definitely coming to an end very soon. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.